Listen to the brilliant Robin Walker share unknown history about Native Americans, Timbuktu, ancient Egypt, polygamy, Moors, and much more. Watch The Full Reasoning now, only at www.ineverknewtv.com Premium.
The history of the Moors in Spain and Portugal has been heavily distorted. Can you share the truth about their reign and how historians work to whitewash their African origins?
Yeah, the Moors is a complicated history. It's very, very complicated. And all of Moorish history doesn't belong to Black people. So we need to pull out which bits do and which bits don't. Mm-hmm. So if we're looking at the rule in Spain and Portugal, what people mean is they mean the rule from 710 AD up to 1492 AD. And for most of that period, there were 4 dynasties that ruled. You had the Umayyad dynasty, you had the Almoravid dynasty, you had the Almohades dynasty, and you had the Nasrid dynasties. And the second and the third one were undoubtedly Africans. So the second dynasty, the Almoravids, they had their origins in the Senegal River region. And the Almohades were Black Moroccans, and the records are clear, Black. And so that period, the second and the third dynasties, was where the Moors ruled in Spain from a city called Seville. And so Seville is an African-built city. And it still has grand monuments, the Alcazaba Palace, the Golden Tower, the bridges. Very, very impressive. I've been, and I can heavily recommend that people take a look. Now, Dynasty 1, the Umayyads, they're a mixture of people, but we're a part of the mix. And the Nasrids begin as an Arab dynasty, but it ends up as a Black dynasty. Presumably during that period, Africans got the right person to marry the right woman, and then children came out of it, who then got to marry the right woman, and children came out of it. So by the time we get to the end of that dynasty, they're actually Black. Right. Yeah. So consequently, there is a lot of Black history. But as I said, Dynasty 1 and Dynasty 4, we share the glory with the Arabs. Yeah. All right. Dynasty 1, they rule from a city called Cordova. And there is a palace on the outskirts of Cordova called the Medinet El Zahra. That palace is off the scale. Yeah, people should take a look. Yeah. Then you have in the 4th dynasty, the Beni Nazir, the Nasrids, they're ruling from Granada. And the Granada palace, the Alhambra, is off the scale. So people should, visit these places and take a look at what's there. Now, as I said, the history is complicated because the Africans that were even during the 2nd and 3rd dynasties, not every African was dark-skinned. There were some light-skinned Berber types in the mix as well, but obviously the dark-skins were the majority, because the word Moor itself is a derivative of a Roman word for dark or black. So it is the term that would have been used in medieval times for Black people.
Mm-hmm. And what's the link, the connection, or the difference between Berbers and Moors?
Mm-hmm. Basically, Berber is the term that appears in Arabic literature. Moor is the term that appears in European literature. But they approximately refer to the same groups of people, the people in North Africa. Now, the people in North Africa, before the Arabs got there, were predominantly Black. But not every single person was Black. Do you see? Mm-hmm. And it's the not every single person is where Eurocentric scholars can now get off and exploit that to make it look like none of them were, which of course is nonsense.
Yeah. And another thing you said, I think it was the fourth dynasty that what started Arab, and by the end of it, they turned black. You intimated that potentially it may have been to do with marriages and that type of politics.
Well, without a doubt, that it would have been marriages, and it would be a rare example in our history where people stepped correctly on that.
Right. Okay, so it's been documented. It's married. It definitely marriages. It's nothing to do with there was some fighting back by the black people in some wars.
That's possible too.
Right.
But marriage seems to be the better explanation.
Okay.
And why we know this, or why we think we know this, is because the Spaniards act out the fall of Granada once a year. They have a festival, and they will have these huge puppets, one representing the King of Spain, King Ferdinand, the Queen of Spain, Queen Isabella, the King of the Moors, Boabdil. Boabdil is the European name for him, and his mother. And the king of the Moorish king, Abu Abdallah or Boabdil, is always shown as black, and his mother is shown as black, and she's veiled so you can see her black hands. And there's no way you can confuse them two with the king and queen of Spain, Isabella and Ferdinand.
It's interesting because it seems that whenever we as a people, black people, get our freedom, it's on as much as possible on a peaceful level, as much as possible. You spoke about the people from the Americas, the Brazils that started their own states. We have this going through marriage. There's many other examples where they've fought as little as possible, or even maybe none. Now, is that the case everywhere, or is there examples where there's actually been a fight back and a war, a physical, where there's been warriors that have said no and fought?
Yeah, I mean, even the conquest of Spain was warriors. Do you see? And what that's to do with is North Africa was conquered by Germanic speakers known as the Vandals. And they conquered North Africa in the 5th century AD. And they did a lot of damage. Vandals, they did a lot of damage. So when the opportunity came in 710 for Africans to invade Spain and kick the Germanics' butts, you've got to remember, in 710, the people in Spain, the ruling class, were speaking German-based languages, the same as the Vandals. When the opportunity came to kick their butts, Africans took it. Well, you want us to sail over there and kick them? Yeah, we'll do it. So that's a classic example. Yep. It's not the only example. In researching the transition from ancient Kush to medieval Nubia, this is Sudanese history, the Romans wanted to make the descendants of ancient Kush a part of the Roman Empire. And they negotiated with them. And the people signed on the dotted line, yep, we're a part of the Roman Empire, and then attacked the Romans straight afterwards.
Right, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And that level of, taking the mickey, we did that. You read about a chapter in Ethiopia's ancient history, how they ended up becoming Christian. There was a ship that had Europeans on it, Greco-Romans on the ship. They stormed the ship and killed everybody, but they spared 2 Syrian boys, and the Syrian boys just happened to be Christians. Yeah, they didn't know they happened to be Christians. They spared the boys because they're boys. They're not adults. And then you read the history of why did they storm that ship and kill everybody? Because a previous European ship took the mickey. And if you take the mickey, the next ship that comes along, you're going to get spanked. Right. And again, we did that back in the day.
Interesting.